you'll know how often we as South Africans talk about foreign nationals at the moment and how high tensions around this issue really are. In reality, I suppose it could also be a conversation about our economy. There was a seminar today about the media and the way that we, the media, should be having these conversations. One of the people involved was Boitumelo Madiba. Boitumelo, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. In a way, this is quite complex. How do you think we should be having this conversation?
Good afternoon, Stephen, and good afternoon to your viewers. Look, Stephen, South Africa is going through, or is facing quite a number of challenges, and I think somewhat our social cohesion has been compromised. And I think the discussion should be what should be the role of the media in social cohesion in relation to immigration. My view is that the media should be seen to be reporting objectively, but somewhat South Africans have got reservations in the manner that the media has been reporting on this issue. Or before I even get to the role of the media, first and foremost, xenophobia is unacceptable, should never be encouraged. But in the same vein, we need that the immigration laws of the country should be adhered to. Whenever you enter the country, you should make sure that you've got proper immigration papers. And once you are in the country, you need to make sure that you are a law-abiding individual in that specific country. And this goes across the board for foreign nationals and as well as South Africans. But maybe just to give you an example, Stephen, there seem to be reservations in the manner that the media reported on the deep-slooped matter. South Africans have the view that the murders of South Africans were ignored, and only when a Zimbabwean was killed, it was amplified. They are of the view that the Robertson chaos, where it was a conflict between the Basotho foreign nationals and as well as Zimbabwean foreign nationals, there was a blackout on the media with an exception of Newzroom Afrika. In this instance, RT covered that story. But there seem to be reservations in the manner that the media is reporting on this issue, and there seem to be an appeal from South Africans that the media must be very objective, because the moment the media is perceived not to be honest is going to compromise our social cohesion. So we are just calling for objectivity on reporting on the issue.
So, Boitumelo, I mean, many people might say we need to be objective. But what should I do if, for example, someone says in an interview, all Nigerians are drug dealers? Should I allow him to say that?
Okay, generalization is not accepted. But first and foremost, I mean, you've got Nigerians that are criminals, and you've got Nigerians that are law-abiding citizens or law-abiding wherever they go. So generalization is not acceptable. But again, Stephen, there seems to be a view in the media that whenever crime is being reported, that we should never mention the country of origin of an individual involved. I mean, as we are sitting here, South Africa is being known to be the capital city of rape in the world, is known to be leading on criminal activities. But I think there's a need that from time to time we should be able to classify crime that is committed by South Africans and crime that is committed by foreign nationals, and we must look at that contribution so that we are able to manage the narrative, for a lack of a better way.
Boitumelo, I'm going to ask you to be a little clear. What do you mean? Do you mean that if there's a drugs bust, I should say that the people arrested are Nigerian or South African? Or are you saying I shouldn't say that?
Oh, I say you should call it out, especially if you find that the foreign nationals that are involved are illegal. It should be called out, because in that instance, being involved in drug will be secondary. Primarily is that the first crime is that they were in the country illegally.
Why does their nationality matter? There was a time, I remember this because I'm old enough, but I remember 30 years ago when the media would report on a crime and mention someone's race all the time. I mean, if we mention nationality, must we go back to that time? Surely not.
Okay, no, definitely.
So
but
what's the
remember,
difference? That's the point. I'm asking you, make the argument. What's the difference?
Okay, here is the fact of the matter, Stephen. Do you admit that we've got porous borders?
Sure.
Do you admit that the Department of Home Affairs has been incompetent? Now, as a result, that has created a vulnerability for SA communities. And I say there is a need to follow up to say, what are the ripple effects of porous borders? How would we know the impact unless the reporting is accurate?
So, I mean, there's so many things around this. I mean, you say the reporting is accurate. So that means then that that person's nationality becomes more important than anything else about them. Really?
No, it's not important as such, but again, it needs to be noted. For example, Stephen, let's put it this way. I mean, I like to speak on absolute terms. We've had a gentleman in Seshego that murdered 7 women, or Seshego women. This guy did not have any immigration papers. He went on a rampage, killed those women, raped them, and killed them. Now, the question would be, if such crime has been reported, we need to know who is this individual, where does he come from, did he have papers? Because in certain instances, I'm of the view that at some point in time, South Africans must be able to bring a lawsuit against the South African government, because it is the duty of the government to protect its citizens, and it first to start making sure that borders are not porous.
Okay. I mean, presumably you would accept that South Africans commit crimes in other countries too, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Namibia. Once famously, I think in, Ukraine, Russia, other places.
Okay, the fact of the matter is that if a South African commits crime, whether it's Zambia, Zimbabwe, they must face the mighty law of those countries. There should not be exception for that matter.
Sue us is the point. That's the point.
No, the citizens of those countries can hold their government accountable to say,
hold on, Boitumelo. I'm picking up on this point because you said that we should be able to sue the countries where these people come from, unless I misunderstood.
No. You misunderstood
My
me.
mistake.
I say the Seshego women or families of women that were murdered, they can bring a lawsuit against the South African government, not against the Zimbabwean government, against the South African government to say, you had a duty to protect us as citizens. You have failed in your constitutional duty, and we are bringing this lawsuit against you, not against where the criminal comes from.
All right, I apologize. I understand you better now. I sometimes wonder, Boitumelo, I mean, what I'm going to say is going to sound a little bit like Julius Malema. But what I wonder sometimes is that, he and I agree on some things, is that we are part of one regional economy, right? I mean, Southern Africa is one regional economy. And I don't think anyone can argue against that. And I would argue that the start of that regional economy happened during colonization and probably when diamonds were discovered in Kimberley. Maybe before that, but probably when diamonds were discovered in Kimberley. People came here to work. People came from all over the world to work. And that was the basis of Southern Africa as one regional economy. And I think if you've got one regional economy, what is the point of having a border?
Okay, first and foremost, Stephen, let me put it to you that we need integration is very critical. There are certain skill sets that are not available in South Africa. They are needed. If we've got a neurosurgeon in Zimbabwe or in Botswana, they are most welcome to come and work in South Africa. First, I said, xenophobia is unacceptable. But the fact of the matter is that, Stephen, if I go to Zimbabwe, I've got my passport, it needs to be stamped. If I go to Botswana, I've got my passport, it needs to be stamped. And no one would ever say it's xenophobia. But why is it you guys in the media, whenever there is a demand that when people enter South African borders, their a passport must be stamped, you seem to elevate that above the fact that it is adherence to the law, but you want to project it as if it's xenophobia. It is not xenophobia. We are simply saying South Africa as it is, we seem to have the law and order that has collapsed. And we say in restoring law and order, let's make sure that everybody that is in the country is accounted for. I think it is a reasonable ask. And furthermore, that in the event that anyone commits crime, they must be traceable. So I don't think having a passport is xenophobic.
I don't know if South Africans who commit crimes are traceable.
In South Africa, they're traceable. We've got fingerprints. And if they're not traceable there, I think that can be attributed to the competence of law enforcement agencies. But every South African has got a fingerprint.
I don't know if they do. But anyway, Boitumelo, I feel like you and I should have a beer and discuss this further, because there's quite a lot to talk about. Boitumelo Madiba, it is Friday. Thanks very much indeed. We'll find a place where the lights are on. I really appreciate the conversation. There's so much to talk about with that issue, as you well know. It won't be the last time you hear conversations around migration and the terms that we use around migration. There's a sociolinguist that I know who I think maybe we should have a conversation with in a moment.